in Cardiff. Rupert Lowe is one of his fellow Reform UK MPs. Rupert's the MP for Great Yarmouth. Rupert, can I just perhaps get your reaction to this little bit of news, more information being put in the public domain about attempts to assassinate Donald Trump? Your leader, Nigel Farage, talking about how there are very close links between him, of course, and Donald Trump. He was in the room when the victory came through the other day. But clearly, from both domestic and foreign actors, there have been numerous attempts to actually put an end to President-elect Trump's life.
Well, fortunately, good evening, Peter. First,
good evening. Good evening.
So, yeah, well, I'm very pleased that they failed in their quest to assassinate Donald Trump. I'm delighted he's been elected, and I think a bit like Prime Minister here, he's tried it once, he knows what to do. I think he's got a team of people ready to go. And I suspect if it's true that Iran knew that Donald Trump is going to hit the ground running in January, as you say, he's president-elect at the moment, and he takes control in January. He's got a huge team of people ready to go. He didn't have very many ready to go last time. He has this time. And I think, you know, he will bring some sense to the world. He will encourage free speech, openness, transparency, honesty. He'll clean out the DEI virus that's been infecting the Anglo-Saxon world and indeed the continent. So I'm delighted. I think political correctness will be washed away. He's talking about deportations. We're finally getting some honesty, and I think probably the people who tried to do him harm knew that he would strengthen the West and return it to some semblance of common sense.
I want to ask you as well, Rupert, about these anti-Semitic rioters targeting Israeli football fans in Amsterdam. We now know 62 arrests have been made there. The Dutch king has apologised and said that that the Jewish people in Amsterdam have been let down. To me, I don't know about you, but to me this was simply a case of when would this happen rather than if it would happen. And there's another march in London tomorrow, the day before Remembrance Sunday. And it really worries me that the same sort of thing could happen in the UK. It clearly worries our viewers and listeners. We have an awful lot of response on this as well. I wonder what your perspective is on this story, Rupert.
Well, first of all, Peter, I think it's a tragedy that, football is the reserve currency of world entertainment. It's supposed to bring people together. It's supposed to allow people to integrate and watch a game of football together. So it's a tragedy that this has happened after a football match. I don't quite know where the truth lies in this. But clearly, as we know, Amsterdam, rather like London, has had huge amounts of immigration. We have got these tragedies happening in Gaza and in Lebanon. And therefore, I think sentiments are running high. And it's a tragedy that has all happened in the name of football. So as you say, is it symptomatic of a failing sort of post-war multicultural experiment, which, as I've always said, is bubbling up a bit like a volcanic lava flow? Every now and again it bubbles up, it then dies down, and the question is, when does the volcano actually explode, as you said in your introduction? But who knows? And we're finding, I don't know if you're following what I'm doing in Parliament, but I'm asking lots of questions of the government. I think a good democracy is a transparent democracy, and I don't think the government is giving us, if you look at the answers they're giving me to questions, I'm asking questions about crime by nationality, all sorts of statistics that I think the public should be made aware of. And we are not getting answers, even though on occasion we know that they're collecting the data. They choose not to give it to us. So a healthy, vibrant democracy, Peter, is one which is transparent. You have freedom of speech, you respect each other, and you have open, frank debate, which in the end gets you to the truth. To shut society down in an Orwellian way is not the right way of doing it. So I don't know how much of the truth we get. It's a bit like Southport. Where does the truth lie there? I think there's more to the Southport issue than we've all been told so far, but it's sub judice. So We aren't going to know until, I gather, after the court case, which could be some time, by which time public opinion, they hope, will have moved on. But I think all this needs frank debate, and I think the public needs to be informed transparently and openly, and I don't think that's happening.
Of course, you know about the value of football, Rupert, as a former chairman of Southampton Football Club yourself. We heard a little bit from your party leader, Nigel Farage, a little bit earlier at the Welsh Reform UK conference. To go back, Rupert, to the American election, it does seem... I'm sort of astonished that people are astonished, really. It just seems that so many people haven't learned anything, especially in this country, from 2016. They haven't learned from the Brexit result. They haven't learned from all sorts of different indicators that we have seen of the fact that people are really annoyed about the food inflation, for example, in America, the price of groceries, and about immigration. And those, to me, are the two big issues in America that people voted on, as well as the fact that Donald Trump said things can be better, and that Kamala Harris was a terrible candidate for so many reasons. I wonder what your perspective is on that, and also what your party leader has been saying this afternoon.
As I said just now, I think it's going to be a breath of fresh air, and I'm looking forward, Peter, to 2029 or before, if they last less time than the full term. When Reform wins the next election, and we can look forward to doing the same thing here. I
think it's realistic, really? You think it's realistic to go from 5 MPs to a majority government?
Peter, I do. I wouldn't say it if I didn't think it, and I was told I had no chance. We had no chance of getting an MP into Parliament. We've now got the bridgehead. We're going up in the polls. I think if you look at what we're doing in Parliament, we are really the opposition. We're asking the right questions. And what you've seen is this increasingly distant elite who I think sow the seeds of separation, argument, and discontent among the people. And that is only possible if you don't share the truth with them. And that's what's been happening. So I think these elites have, as you say, sown the seeds of a sort of divide between them and the people, and the people are now taking, quite rightly, their revenge. You know, I believe in popular sovereignty. I don't believe in elite sovereignty, and we've got to get back to accountable democracies where people do have a chance to vote those people out of power who aren't serving them. And in my short time in Parliament, Peter, I have to tell you, I increasingly think we're not governed by any different political parties. As George Galloway said, it's two cheeks of the same backside, and there's certainly no difference between those two cheeks and the Lib Dems. So I think the whole thing has become, it's become complacent, it's become secretive, it's become, in many ways, unrepresentative of what British democracy should be. So I think we're the last chance, really, of sensible people to vote for proper change. And I have to tell you that I get very irritated when people call us far right. We're not far right. We're real people.
You're not far right. You're not far right.
We talk common sense. We talk common sense. Yeah. We represent logic, fairness, and common sense. So
Reform UK are not far right. People who call you far right don't understand what far right actually is. I would say, Rupert, thank you very much indeed. Rupert Lowe there,
Pleasure.
who is the Reform UK MP for Great Yarmouth.